First things first, my dad, when he passed away, I was still in college, and I was in the San Diego Recruit Training Depot, and I got out of it because I had to go back to try and take over the store and do work there. I couldn't stand that job, and my brother, again, was just like my father in business. He was 5 years younger though. And he finishing high school, and he went down to work there, and he made the place, the furniture business. My brother, we're very close. We talk every day. In fact, it reminds me very much, and reminds him very much of my father and his brother, who used to confide in each other very, very much. My sister and I argued a lot. I was the oldest. She wanted to do what she wanted as she grew up, and I said, no, you can't do that. And we'd get in fights. But overall, with my brother, he was sick. He had a diphtheria, and they took him for 6 months to a hospital. When he came back, we were just overwhelmed. My mother was fantastic. My father was fantastic, and he was a very good businessman. And to get money out of him was like a war. He'd always give it in the end. He'd always give it in the end, but we'd have to fight. My mother would have to argue with him. And we got along extremely well. I never swore in front of my father. Did one time, and he came downstairs and he gave me a whacking I've never had before. I didn't even think about it. You know, I didn't even know it. But you couldn't swear. And to go to a movie with them, if they even showed a slip on the screen, they'd cover my eyes, you know, like that. That was the old way of doing things. You know, I had a wonderful, wonderful life. My grandmother was absolutely great with us. Raise us or give us spankings, throw me down in the basement if I was doing something bad, close the lights. It was a different world. I'll tell you one thing that thrilled me, but that was when I got older and I was in college playing basketball. My dad wouldn't come to games. He wouldn't come to games. My mother would come, my grandmother wouldn't. She didn't even know the difference. And one time when we were playing in Corvallis, Oregon, and it was a quarterfinal of the NCAA thing, I all of a sudden turned around and I saw him sitting there with his friend, and I went over and I hugged him and kissed him. And shortly after that, he passed away too. He had leukemia. But that was a big thrill to me, to see him there. I felt very good. In the neighborhood we lived in, there was one black family, a couple blocks away. And I became very close with the kid. I remember his name, Billy Johnson, and his brothers. And they were nice, nice people. And I always got upset if somebody said something or said something derogatory about that. So I was always kind of like that. Well, Quincy was in school when I was. He was a band kid, and we just met from him playing the band, and we had a quartet in high school. It was a good quartet, and we used to go every place. And we went to this club. It was Black and Tan, it was called. And I think it was Quincy or somebody else that took us there. And Ray Charles was singing there. He introduced us to him too. And Ray Charles wasn't a nice person. And we see in the corner, all of a sudden I see in the corner 5 of the most popular girls in school with 5 black guys. And they asked us, please don't say anything, don't say anything. I said, I won't say anything. The next day I told the whole school. No, I didn't say anything. Yeah, I went to Seattle University on a scholarship, and I had offers from a lot of schools, NYU, and the people that were going to back me to go to NYU were the owner of Nordstrom's, the original owner of Nordstrom's, and Weisfeld and Goldberg. They were Jewish guys, and they were going to back me going back there and get a scholarship there. I didn't want to go to New York. I didn't want to move out of the area. But I went to Seattle University because I liked the coaching. And they were like just starting. We were just like starting out into college. And we became a good powerhouse after that. I was the only Jewish guy on the team. And so when they go into huddles, they'd always put their crosses to good luck, and I put my Star of David in there. I had my tonsils out 3 days before this. And they said we were going to play the Harlem Globetrotters. And we said, we're going to play the Harlem Globetrotters? You crazy? They said, no, we're going to play it for the Olympic Games. They're going to get the money for the Olympic Games. So the games started, and we're playing. And we started to see that we were doing okay. And we had Johnny O'Brien made 43 points that night. He was our All-American. And we got to the point where they had to stop fooling around because we were beating them. And they stopped fooling around and they started to play serious, and we were playing serious. And I remember Goose Tatum was a guy like Meadowlark Lyman. He went like this and he split my lip. And then I punched him really hard on the side. I almost broke his rib. He had to go out of the game for a while. And then we won the game, and we were still stunned. We were all laughing at each other because we beat the Harlem Globetrotters, which is an incredible thing. We became top 20 in the last 3 years I played. We were in top 20. We were a good team. We played Madison Square Garden, Boston Garden, Philadelphia, Chicago. We played a lot of teams. And we just became like Gonzaga is now. We were like that then. It was a Jewish holiday. And I went to his house. We went to my friend's house who had the bar, and his family. And I saw this most gorgeous woman I ever saw in my life. And immediately we fell in love, Eleanor and I. I decided within the 10 days when I met Eleanor to get married. First, she was Jewish, Sephardic, which is our thing. Most beautiful girl I ever saw, really. And I didn't even think about business-wise or anything like that. I just wanted to get married with her. And I asked her, and she said yes, and it all evolved very nicely. When we got married, she came up here now to live. And I got my mother's house, which was a very nice home. And the furniture business wasn't doing enough money for myself, my mother, my brother. So again, it happened that I went into the tavern business with my friend. And she opened a clothing store. She did okay. And I was doing fine in the tavern business. Then we opened up a second one downtown. It came to pass where she said, we have to get out of the city. And I said, the city's my city. She says, we must go. At that time we had Albert and Lori. We had the two kids. And went into apartments, and I didn't have hardly any money. We went there and I did that, and then finally one day my mother-in-law said, why are you working there? Why would you be working in produce? What are you doing in the produce business? You're smarter than that, you're bigger than that. She says, why don't you go to chiropractic school? And I said, what? Go to school again? And I remember that too. And I said, well, maybe that's a good idea, because if I go to school, then I don't have to work. They'll pay my way through school. And so jokingly, I said, okay. Meanwhile, I never ended up where I got out. I kept going until I graduated chiropractic school. And Eleanor was still working as a extra or part-time movie where she'd make pretty good money in that. And finally, I went into the personal injury business. We divorced for 4 years. It was after Albert died in '75, my son got killed. We really started to separate a lot. I couldn't speak with her, talk with her. She couldn't talk with me. And it was a very difficult time in our lives, and we thought it'd be better if we just got divorced. And then 4 years later, of course, we remarried and lived a good life. We got Rafi, which was a big thing at the time before we got divorced. And that's all. It was, now things, knock on wood, we only fight every other day. Michael Landon was very, we were very close. Traveled together, and the families grew up together. We had a lot of fun, tremendous amount of fun. Everywhere we went, there'd always be people coming up to him. He was very nice. He was very nice to the people. Even if we were eating dinner, he'd talk with them and do whatever it was. And he was just a good guy. We drank a lot together. We did everything together. My wife and his wife were very close friends before we were married, and they'd known each other for a long time. And he'd come up to Seattle and see her when she was visiting, and he actually went out and cut the lawn early in the morning himself. It was a very regular guy, very nice guy. When we were in Las Vegas, and we were going to something for, I think it was Joe Louis. And we were sitting at this table with the senator and one of the big gamblers. I can't remember their names. And Mike and I actually drank one bottle each, and we didn't know where we were going after that. We were just stumped. I didn't hear one thing they said. He didn't hear anything. We finally got into our room, and that was it. We were terrible. Bud was a very close friend of mine. He had Bearish Motors on North Cienega. And he and myself and Mike and the girls were very close friends. Mike used to fly us to Las Vegas, and Bud, what happened is he lost his business, or he sold it, and he couldn't stand it. One day I got a call from Dorothy, his wife. Raymond, come here, quick. And he was on the side of the pool, dead, with his hand up like that. It was a very sad feeling. And then within the year, his son died, and then within the year, his wife died. Everybody died. And that was very sad for us. We were all very close. And of course, we knew Don Sterling, who owned the Clippers. We knew him very well. And I knew him from years. He lives right down there in the corner over there. And we became friends. OJ, yeah, I knew OJ. And we used to go out a lot. And I saw him do some not too nice things to his wife or girlfriend at the time. I can't remember. And but he was a nice guy. We used to enjoy it. We used to laugh. We used to go to dinner, have good times. Lost connection. Lost after a while. We didn't see each other. When I was divorced with Eleanor, we were separated. I lived in one of our apartments there in right off San Vicente in Barrington. And I was just walking that evening, and there was a restaurant, and she was in there, and with her girlfriends. And I was walking by, and she saw me, and she waved me, and, like went in, and we talked about stuff, and she said, "You want to walk me home?" Thank God I said no. Jerry Brown, he was kind of a putzy guy, if you'll excuse me. He was not what I call too good, but we had the parties here and raised money, and I was able to get a friend of mine a judgeship in the state. We were at something with Michael Landon and his wife Lynn at a showing at Paramount Studios, and we got a call that he was in the hospital. And of course, we all got up and left, and then I found out that he was hit going across the street, and his friend was hit, but his friend had a broken leg. I think that's the only time I wished it was somebody else rather than, I wished it was the other kid rather than him, as bad as that sounds. He'd been hitting his temporal area, and we went there, and he was not cognizant, he was unconscious, and that was just a terrible, terrible thing to even be involved. It was just, I don't know what else I could say. What matters most in this life, to me, I would say the health and success of my children, my grandchildren, my whole family, friends, everybody. That's what I would like to see all the time, health. I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of Marley. I'm so proud of Lori that they found a good niche in life that makes them happy. It makes me happy too. And the grandchildren are my gold. They're my favorite things. Without believing in God, I mean, I wouldn't think that I could have done things that would have been not too, I mean, many things would have been really bad, but I could have, I don't know if I would have. But I have the fear, the conscience that if I do something, then it's going to be payback time. I have to believe in heaven because all my parents, of course, my son, my parents, if I didn't believe that there was a heaven, I don't think I would care much about anything I do. I believe that we'll all meet up someday and we'll all be in heaven. I hope I go to heaven. I believe in hell too. And sometimes I pray for my sins that I've sinned. It takes quite a while. And that's it. Heaven is waiting. Why are you here? What are you doing here in this world? What if not God, do you think, brought this whole world together? I want people to remember me by being honest with people. I want my family to remember me by being a good father and a good friend to them.
You guys have anything in your family that was passed down from your...
Not really, Nick. Not really at all.
Yeah, that's a toughie. But are there any stories about famous relatives in your family? Did you have any famous or infamous relatives in your family at any point? This way or that way?
No.
Do you have any special heirlooms that have been passed down?
No.
Can you briefly tell me one of your family's best stories or tall tales?
I can't think of anything.
So there wasn't a public person that made a big impression on you. Anybody?
No, no one at all.
So do you have any other regrets?
Not that I could think of them.
Have you witnessed any extraordinary events?
Witness it? I don't think so.
No? Okay. Name 3 people you admire from history, and why do you admire them?
3 people from history.
Yeah, or one person. Do you admire anyone from history, and why?
I don't know. I don't know. I never really thought about that.
Oh, have you ever held an elected office in government or at any kind of club?
No.
No. Is this a weird question if I were to ask you what you feel the purpose of life is? What do you think the purpose of life is?
I don't know.
That's a fair answer. It's not. I just maybe thought something would jump out at you.
I can. Yes. Oh yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Oh yes. Yes, I believe in aliens. I believe very much in aliens. Being a sci-fi man, I believe you're an alien.